Good morning. Today is Friday, April 24th. Without any other introductions, I'm going to start sharing something with you. We're going to have a review of the passive voice. Okay? We already have seen some of the tenses. We saw the present perfect in units 10 and 11, the past perfect passive in unit 10, in unit 12, and the future passive in unit 13. Okay, the rules for the passive voice are well understood by you, most of them. First, we've said a lot of times that the subject in a sentence in passive is passive. What does that mean? That the subject in a sentence in passive isn't doing any action, okay? That's why it's passive. The opposite to normal sentences where the subject is the one doing the action. In passive sentences, the subject is passive. The subject isn't doing any action. The second rule is that it has the verb be conjugated according to the tense. If it's present, you may say, houses are built. Houses are, the verb to be is in present. In past, a house was built. The verb to be was is in past. In future, a house will be constructed. Will be is in future. And so on. We're going to see more examples. But passive sentences always have the verb to be. And the main verb is in past participle. That means that the verb to be isn't the main verb. We always have a main verb, like in the examples I was giving. A house will be built. Build, that is in past participle, is the main verb. And the main verb is always in past participle. Remember, the past participle is the third line of the verbs that we always study. Eat, ate, eaten. A pizza was eaten. So the pizza didn't do any action. The pizza was eaten by someone, okay? We can use, exactly, I said by someone. We can use by to mention the doer of the action, if we want to mention it. When I said that the subject is passive, sometimes we don't know who is doing the action because it isn't important, we just don't want to mention, or it's very, very obvious. Okay? Now, let's see some examples. In present perfect, the active voice says, someone has solved the case. If we don't know who solved the case, we may say, the case has been solved. It's implied that we don't know who solved the case. No one has solved the case. The case hasn't been solved. What is important for you to know here is that here we don't know who the subject, who solved the case or who hasn't solved the case, okay? And in it's present perfect, we have the present perfect here has we have this one. Present perfect has been or hasn't been, that's present perfect. We have the verb to be and the main verb in past participle, okay? Next. Present perfect, making questions. What have they brought? They brought means somebody did the action. What has been brought? We don't know who's the doer of the action. They brought blankets. Blankets have been brought. Why haven't they reached the summit? Why hasn't the summit been reached? Remember, in this case, the summit is the subject and it isn't doing any action. Blankets is the subject and it isn't doing any action, okay? What is the subject and it isn't doing any action in the passive form. Now, the past perfect. In past perfect, we always have the verb had and the second verb in past participle. In passive, we need the verb had, the verb to be needs to be in past participle because after had, we always have the verb in past participle. And the main verb, eaten, in past participle too, okay? So the active voice says, someone had eaten the scones. In that case, people ate the scones. Passive, the scones had been eaten by someone. No one had eaten the scones. Now, the scones is going to turn into the subject. The scones hadn't been eaten. Who had eaten the scones? Who had the scones been eaten by? We want to know who ate them. And passive future. In active voice, the sound will guide the swifts back to their nests. In passive, we have will be, the verb to be in future, and the other verb, the main verb in past participle. The subject is passive. The swifts will be guided back to their nests by the sound. The sound won't guide the swifts back to their nests. Now the swifts aren't going to do any action, so they're a passive subject. The swifts won't be guided back to their nests by the sound. Will the sound guide the swifts back to their nests? In passive, a question, will the swifts be guided back to their nests? Pay attention that we are following all the rules that I mentioned. Passive subject will be, the verb to be conjugated, the main verb in past participle. And now that we know a little bit more about this, let's make a game, okay? It says, complete the passive sentences. A gift, will be giving, will be given, or will give. We have will for future, that's okay. We need the verb to be, so only these two are possible. This is correct, completely incorrect. Will be giving, the verb isn't in past participle, so the correct form is will be given. Okay, before I do that, let me adjust the sound. Okay. So the correct one is this one. Let's check. Correct. Okay.
Yeah!
Okay, I hope you were listening to that because that was correct. A gift will be given to my mother. Who will be giving it to your mother? We don't know, but she will receive a gift. Okay, next. The players have been training. This is incorrect because we don't have ing endings. Have trained, incorrect because we don't have the verb to be. So This is the correct one. Let's check. The players have been trained by Coach Finn.
Yeah!
Correct. Next. The new bridge had been designed. I think this is the correct one, even if I don't see the next ones, but has designed doesn't have the verb to be, so it's incorrect. This one has the verb to be, but we don't have ing endings. So yes, this is the correct one. Let's listen. Yeah, the new bridge had been designed by a team of engineers. Next, the next and the last one. The orchestra by audiences around the world will admire. Incorrect because we don't have the verb to be. Will be admiring. Incorrect because we don't have ing endings. And will be admired. That is the correct one because we have will for future, be for passive voice, and the verb in past participle. Let's listen, check that. The orchestra will be admired by audiences around the world. Let's see if it's correct. Yeah. That is the end of this video. Bye.